The technique for locating these bad boys, wriggle your feet. Voila, my first cockle. Nice big ones like this. Alright team, there we have it. Sweet, soft, spiced up. Hey team, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is called Massive Cockles, Gather and Cook with Nobody All Alone. Sorry team, I don't know why I called it that, I just thought it was kind of funny. Anyway, it's not all that depressing, but it is a nice cruisy episode where I gather myself some fat South Island cockles and cook up a delicious feed. But first of all, when I turn up to the spot, the tide is a little bit too high, so I made you guys a little time lapse of the tide going out. Oh, didn't exactly choose the best parking spot, but anyway, have arrived. Today's mission is a pretty simple one, so I'm only going to need one of those and one of those. The weather down here isn't the best at the moment, but that's no excuse to not get out and at least gather myself a feed. Sure, I can't do the big crazy mission, but some of these simple pie gathering missions are some of my absolute favourites. Oh well, come along for a mush. Ooh, check this out team. Some big snapper holes. I've been in here feeding on the shellfish. They know what's good. Yeah, the snapper and trevally usually look for the juvenile ones, so the nice small ones that they can chew up nice and easy. Remember to check the rules when you're gathering shellfish, especially if you're in a new region. Now, the rules down here are you can gather 150 cockles per person per day, but the locals and the iwi down here ask that you'd only take 50, just to preserve stocks and because quite a few people like to come down here and get themselves a feed. The technique for locating these bad boys is pretty straightforward. You just wriggle your feet like that in the sand and you feel something hard underneath and voila, my first cockle. I think that's quite a decent size even for here, so I'll chuck that one in the bag. Number one, we're on the board. Quite a few of these things here around. These things here have got a few different interesting names, but I know them as snapper biscuits, because you quite often find snapper stuff full of them at certain times of the year. These things are kind of like a starfish. I think they might be a starfish, but I also know that they're related to a sea urchin or a kinner. Oh yeah, it's a beauty, check that out. Just keeping these nice big ones like this. Want to make them worthwhile for a good feed. Team, the weather's starting to pack up on me, so I think I've got my number, so I'm just going to tip those out and have a little double recount, make sure I've got that right. Some nice fresh seawater in the bucket, I'll count them out. Alright team, there we have it, my 50 beautiful big South Island cockles. I'm just going to get that topped up with salt water so that they can sit for a few hours with the spit before I cook them. Beauty! Alright, that's the gathering part of the mission complete. Make my way back to the mud wagon and carry on with this journey. Find myself a nice place to cook my feet. I found myself this primo little spot down by the river where I could set up Muddy's kitchen. Today I'm going to be preparing a delicious cockle recipe. It's going to be a creamy, spicy cockle and pasta recipe, with some white wine. It's going to be absolutely delicious. I kind of have a bit of an idea what I'm doing with this one, but I am also kind of just winging it. But yeah. Anyway, this is my favourite knife. This is a real cool knife that my mate in Nangaroo made for me. The King's Mark Custom Knives made me this beautiful knife. I'm not sure if he makes knives anymore or not, but I'm pretty stoked to have this beautiful piece. Anyway, I get started by peeling some garlic, which takes me forever and ever. So I speed that up to about 10 times just to not put you through the pain of it. Even at 10 times, it still actually takes me quite a long time here. 3 days later, when I have eventually finished peeling the garlic, I chop it up real nice and fine. Now this part I am actually pretty quick at. I start off nice and slow and then I wind it up into full ninja chopping speed. Choppity chop, 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 chop. And in no time at all, that garlic is done. Next up to prep is a white onion. Same deal here. I chop the end off it, chop it in half, peel it and chop it up at full ninja speed. Once you have chopped it up at full ninja speed, you must remember to cough on the onion. Pop the onion aside for later. Grab yourself a fistful of parsley and chop that up nice and fine as well. Choppity chop, 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 chop. And pop that aside for later as well. That one's just going to be used to garnish right at the end. Anyway, I pull out my fancy cooker, spark that up, throw on a pan. Now I'm going to add a little bit of oil to the pan, and then I'm going to add a very tiny little sliver of butter. I like to put both in, it stops the butter from burning. And then I dump my onions in there and I sort of cook those off until they're starting to be nice and soft. And then I fire in my garlic, mix that all together and keep cooking that off till it comes together nicely. Next up, I finally dice up red chilli and chuck that straight in as well. Choppity chop, 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 and in it goes. A little bit of cracked pepper always goes well, so tappity tap, tap, tap. Now for one of the key ingredients, the white wine. Now, I don't know much about white wine, so I've just bought the cheapest one on the shelf. You want it to go in when the pan is nice and hot and bring that up to a simmer to burn off the alcohol, and then I fire in my cockles to steam them open. I pop the fancy lid onto the pan and then I pull out my pasta to start thinking about how I'm going to make this thing all come together in the end. I like to buy this pasta that's kind of like the real stuff. It just cooks a bit faster and I reckon it tastes better too. Damn, bloody sandflies at this spot, that's right, they were absolutely mauling me, so I had to just quickly take care of that. And boom, my cockles have all popped open, they're looking beautiful. So I turn the heat off and I just half shell them at this stage just to reduce that bulk of the shell out of the dish, because when I serve this one I am going to be serving them with a lot of that shell still in there. Then I take that pan off and I drain some of that beautiful liquid that's come out of the cockles mixed with all of that garlicky, buttery, oniony goodness, and I pour that into a little pot. I pop that back onto the cooker and I fire my pasta into that so it absorbs all that delicious flavour. Alright, so the pasta's almost done, so I whip that off, I fire my cockles in that mixture back onto the heat, I add cream to that, and I bring the heat back up to reduce that cream down, just to thicken it all up a little bit. I'm going to admit things sort of came apart at the end here in terms of the order, but it kind of worked out. Anyway, I dump the pasta into that to finish off cooking in that brew with the cream and everything, and then I cover it up, simmer it for a little bit, and she's done.
Look at that. Look at that, team. It is hot, spicy. The cockles are sweet, soft, spiced up. It's a ridiculous dish. It's easy, tasty, buttery. It's borderline criminal. It's too good. Oh no, completely forgot the parsley. And garnish it with parsley. I'm sure it'll, maybe it'll still be, I don't know. Yum, absolutely delicious. I almost definitely have food all over my face. Save some of that for later anyway. Hope you guys all enjoyed this week's episode, and as always, thank you for watching.